There you go. Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll call the April 17th meeting of the Diamond Head Property Owners Association meeting open. Please turn off your silence your cell phones. Roll call tonight. We have Ms. Sue Kingsley is here as the Secretary Pro Tem. Ms. Kingsley?
President Noblock,
Here.
Vice President Gillen, Treasurer Becker,
Here.
Secretary Pro Tem Sue Kinsley, Ex Officio Marthouse, Director Tozan,
Here.
Director Ramirez,
Here.
Director Nutting,
Present.
Director James,
Here.
Director LaFontaine,
Here.
Director Blackwood.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have the approval of the minutes from March the 17th. Ms. Kingsley? They were approved by email.
They were approved by email vote completed
Okay,
4-7.
right. Thank you. Okay, next is to approve or amend the meeting agenda. Does anyone have a need to amend the agenda?
I would like
Mr.
to,
LaFontaine?
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include the approval of purchase and installation of security cameras and the related required equipment at the community center, which is 4 cameras and 1 monitor, the marina, which is 4 cameras and 1 monitor, the RV storage area, 4 cameras and 2 monitors, and the required equipment to ensure wireless coverage, and at the tennis court, 1 camera and the required equipment to ensure wireless coverage from Security Solutions Services, LLC, at a cost of $9,951.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. James seconds. Any comments from anybody? All in favor of amending the agenda and adding that to it, just raise your right hand, please. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Whoops. Okay, next thing is the President's report. I've been here over 20 years, and we had a first here last Friday night. I know I was originally told that Chewy's was going to play. I'm not an orange, excuse me, I'm not a music person. All I could think of was the little orange packets of Cheetos. Well, I found out Chewy's is a well-known rock band from New Orleans. It plays a lot of different festival events. Friday night may have been the most people I've ever seen around here, around the club. And there were a lot of younger people there. The parking lot was pretty much full. And I estimated, 'cause my wife and I rode around, there were probably 200 golf carts there. I mean, it was really interesting to see. Lanai Condos, which is next to that area, they were having an outside party with a fire pit and listening. Everyone seemed to have a good time. That was in conjunction with the Big Kahuna Golf Tournament, which is sponsored by the Marine Corps League. The Marine Corps League does a lot of volunteer works in our area, and the club at Diamond Head was heavily involved with the organization of the event and served food and drinks to an awful lot of people. So special thanks to the Marine Corps League and all the POA employees who worked to make that a success. It's a very, very short history lesson. The POA was formed by charter in 1970. At that time, Mississippi law required a charter for nonprofit organizations, and it also had some specific language that was required by law. In 1988, the Mississippi legislature voted to remove the charter requirements and the restrictive language. Since 1988, nonprofits formed by using articles of incorporation and adopt bylaws which the corporation uses as a guideline to its operations. So think of all the changes that have happened since 1970. I've got a quick rhetorical question for you. What were the top selling toys in 1970? It was rhetorical. The answer is the Nerf ball, Pet Rocks, and the computer game Pong. The POA is proposing 4 motions for the annual membership meeting on Saturday, June the 17th. Because of the wording in the charter, property owners not in good standing, which basically means they have decided not to pay dues, they can vote for officers in the elections. In the board's opinion, that makes no sense. Okay, why should someone who's not paying their dues be allowed to have any effect on decisions that are made by the POA board? So we want to remove that wording from the original charter. Okay, we'll change it basically so that only members in good standing can vote in POA elections. So that's the first thing. Then we have a proposal to change the requirement in our bylaws that the board have an open meeting on the third Friday in October and March. First off, no one wants to meet on Friday nights, okay? My guess is this was probably placed in the original situation because the board at that time met in closed session except for those 2 times a year. For the last 5 years or so, the monthly meetings have been open to the public. In the last 3 years, all the regularly scheduled monthly meetings were open to the public, streamed live, and recorded if someone wanted to view them at a later date. So the Friday night meetings in October and March are simply not needed. So the second proposal then is to remove the requirement for the 2 Friday meetings in our bylaws and change it to something like all regularly scheduled monthly board meetings will be held on the 3rd Monday of the month and open to the public. Monthly meeting dates can be moved due to extenuating circumstances. We need that in there because of hurricanes and mainly weather issues. The third proposal, presently our bylaws state that the annual members meeting, you can vote only in person or by proxy. Only in person or by proxy, except when voting for board members. The annual members meetings are the ones where you normally vote for officers and directors every 2 years, but can involve other items as what we're proposing this year. Since this year we will not be voting for board members, that means you must vote either in person or by proxy. In the opinion of most people, this just doesn't make sense in today's world. So our proposal states that basically you can vote in person, by proxy, or by absentee vote in all POA elections. If it's passed in June of 23, this would apply to all future elections. The fourth proposal, the POA owns at least 3 drainage parcels of land that the city can use to improve drainage. One is the Duck Pond on Gex Drive, which is a large drainage area. The second one is the large detention pond on Calipacona Way, okay, sometimes referred to as Hidden Lake. And the third one, just about all of Glen Eagle drains through the pond on number 4 of the Cardinal and continues in a very large ditch through a parcel of land and then under Mahalo Hui and eventually works its way to the Montjoy Creek. These 3 parcels of land are really of no use to the POA and would be helpful to transfer these parcels to the city to improve drainage. The city will pay for the necessary surveying that's required and the preparation of any legal documents that are necessary. And as I mentioned earlier, I think before the meeting starts, the city just got a grant from the Go Mesa funds for about $2.5 million for drainage work and marsh restoration. And finally, this happened just last Friday. Okay, proxy voting involves giving your proxy to a member in good standing, and then he or she must show up at the community center on election day to sign your proxy and then vote. Besides being time consuming, some people have no idea to whom they can give their proxy form. So I asked our legal team if they could, for the POA, to see if we could add a name or 2 on the ballot as proxies, okay? So that the property owner could check off one of the 2 names and then that person could vote for him. I think everybody in here uses Coast Electric. If you notice, that's exactly what they do once a year when they have their members meeting. They send you a postcard, and if you can't go, you can just check a little box next to somebody's name on there, and then that person can vote for you. So that seems to make sense. The The POA time for voting in POA elections has always been 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the third Saturday in June. We're not suggesting increasing the time the polls are open, but rather just adding another method for someone to vote. Okay? Bill Blackwood and Ronnie LaFontaine have volunteered to have their names on the proxy ballots. So if you can't vote in person on the third Saturday in June, and you don't know to whom to give your proxy, you can just check off either Bill or Ronnie's name, and they'll do the voting for you. Almost at the end. This is important because we have to have enough votes to have a quorum for the vote to count. So please keep that in mind when you receive your ballot in the mail within the next couple of weeks. There will be a self-addressed stamped envelope included in your ballot so you can complete your ballot and send it to the auditing company that actually counts the vote. If our third proposal passes this year, starting in 2024, all elections will have an absentee ballot included. As per our bylaws, all property owners will receive a ballot, but only the members, the votes of members in good standing will be counted. 30-second summary. Excuse me, the four proposal changes. Change the charter so that only members in good standing can vote in POA elections. Number 2, remove the requirement for 2 Friday night meetings and hold all meetings open to the public on the third Monday of each month unless extenuating circumstances occur. Number 3, add absentee voting to all POA elections. And 4, transfer 4 drainage lots to the city. These items are important to the future of the POA, and so I ask everyone to support the proposals in the June 17th annual members meeting. Okay, next we go to committee reports. We'll start, Mr. James.
The Golf and Grounds Committee did not meet this month.
Okay, Mr. LaFontaine.
We did not meet this month.
Bill, Mr.
Yeah.
Blackwood.
The admin committee did meet. We working with management on reviewing the employees' handbook and also reviewing our bank deposits and how much revenue we're getting for the interest rates and stuff. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Tozan.
Yes, the House Committee met. Mr. Ron brought in to the committee the bids for proposed plateware for the Oak Room, need to change that out and use the current plateware at latitude 30. We'll vote on that tonight. The lowest bid that he brought in was for $8,300. There was discussion on whether or not we could capitalize that expense. The research says that we cannot, so it is a one-shot deal for us. The roundtable discussion generally agreed that the service and the consistency in latitude 30 is improving, but there's still room for improvement. The implementation of our toast inventory system is in process. It should be active for both banquets and the restaurants shortly. And we discussed bids for a heated banquet cart, and we've asked, the committee has agreed to hold that bid for another month. And then the issues of our needed storage, we discussed it, and the presentations will be to the board next month. And we continue to have concerns about the flooring in the kitchen. Some way we need to address that. We still don't have an answer for that, but we're still working on it. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. The Futures Committee did not meet because we still have so many things up in the air about the future. Mr. Becker?
Yeah, the South Side Committee did not meet, but we were recently made aware by one of the members that one of the taxiways at the airport needs attention. We're investigating that now, and we'll report our findings to the board to see if action is needed.
Okay. Mr. Ramirez?
So the Facilities Committee did meet. We kind of piggybacked off of one of Greg's meetings, and we appreciate that we were able to have input and look around at the different areas that we're looking at there for storage, and I'm sure Greg will get more into that. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Mr. Nutt, Dr. Nutting?
I'll defer to the committee chairs, thank you.
Okay, thank you. General Manager's report?
Good evening. Typical packet of information is provided to each of you. In it, it includes the financial summary for the month of March and year to date. Just in an overview, the month of March, we had a net income derived of $130,000. with a variance of 70,000 to the positive. And year-to-date, we have generated net income of 270,000 compared to a budgeted amount of 57,000, so a positive variance of 213,000 year-to-date. The information packet goes on to provide you with a copy of a proposed memorandum that I've sent to Darian McKinnis. This is to deal with financial reporting and the timing of certain elements whereby the department managers are required to submit inventory counts and related invoices by the third day of the month. And with that, the progression of financial reports will be expedited. The whole objective is to get the reports to you, the board, with a degree of confidence that it's accurate sooner than what we have been. So that's a draft memo that hopefully will be adopted and become procedure. The next is the membership dues overview for the year 2023. And it's compared to what we had budgeted, it's favorable. It indicates that total to date, we've collected from 2,165 property owners, either in the form of an annual payment or monthly payment. Year to date, we have a total of 2,734,643 that we've collected, so that's a positive note. The next page is an accounts receivable report summary, and it indicates the number of accounts and the dollar value of those individuals that are past due being considered 90 days or more. It's a startling report, and one that we are committed to work to capturing those funds that are owed to the POA. The next report is a collections report, and the month of March, first couple of days of April, proved positive for a collection amount of almost $69,000. So that's good effort, and year to date, the amount collected is roughly $182,000. The next page is the PGA goals and focus. This goes by department and targets certain objectives that we're working on, whether it be capital expenditures or various projects. Much like Lloyd and Dennis referred to storage areas in the club area. We're looking at a couple options there. One of the storage areas would be designed to accommodate the inventory of alcohol and related bottled products. The other storage is to accommodate the storage of tables and chairs. Both in operations view would be very helpful and of value to streamline the challenges that we're experiencing, and the real concern with reference to the alcohol inventory and the manner in which it's stored to date. Next page is the food and beverage sales. This is taken from information that provided by Chris Rahm. It's basically a revenue report, and it shows that for the month of March, we generated $275,000, which is the best of the 3 months to date. It also gives a day-to-day capsule of what sort of revenue is generated. Mondays, the average take is $7,800, whereas Friday, the average take is almost $60,000. So there's quite a variance there, with an average Monday being about $2,000, where on Fridays it's almost 12,000. Next report is a summary from the marina with detail, and the last couple of pages is a nice written report from the Director of Golf, Chris Altice. Chris discloses in his summary the fact that the golf operation has hired a replacement for Maury Hodges. The gentleman's name is Wayne Fuselier. He's a PGA member and he comes with a lot of experience. So you have information provided which will make for interesting reading. And I'm always available to try and answer questions that you might have.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
I would like to comment that the financials are very positive, and your organization seems to be doing a good job with.
Oh, can you microphone, please?
The organization appreciates the hard work of your crew and the positive revenue numbers.
Thank you very much. On that note, with reference to this most recent activity that took place at the club, Chris Rahm took a risk, I think took a lot of guts to take the risk to bring this group in and attempt to do what we accomplished. And he and the staff should be very proud of what they've accomplished. It was, I didn't recognize any of the songs either, I mean, but it seemed to be a good time and certainly a good event. Thank you, Bill, for your comments.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, do we have any POA member comments on agenda items?
We do not.
Okay, so next, when we go to the regular agenda, we have 3 or 4 resolutions. I have to read these resolutions because, number one, that way the people at home watching will know what's going on. And secondly, we use resolutions because these will show up in the actual minutes, and therefore anybody has to look back, they know exactly what had happened. So the resolution of the Board of Directors of Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association. And this is motion 2023-08. Whereas this association was formed by charter, which was adopted and filed with the Secretary of State for the state of Mississippi on June 8, 1970, whereas the charter has only been amended once by amendment adopted and filed with the Secretary of State for the state of Mississippi on October 7, 1977, whereas the charter includes the following language in Section 7. This corporation, blah, 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 shall vest each member the right to 1 vote in the election of all officers. Whereas the quoted language from Section 7 has caused confusion regarding the association's ability to limit voting rights for members not in good standing, has created 2 classes of membership, and has created 2 different quorums, whereas this organization has traditionally allowed members not in good standing to vote in officer elections, and it has disavowed such members to vote on propositions. Whereas the quoted language above was formally required in Mississippi Code Section 79-11-1-2, which was repealed in 1988 after the formation of the association. Whereas the Mississippi Nonprofit Corporation Act has changed the following requirements from a charter to articles of incorporation that do not require the quoted language set above, and whereas the Mississippi Nonprofit Corporation Act does not require any restrictive language to be contained in the Articles of Incorporation and permits such to be controlled by the bylaws, therefore it is resolved that this board hereby recommends that the charter of this corporation be amended so that it comports with the current statutory requirements prescribed by the Mississippi Nonprofit Corporation Act. Finally, it is resolved that this proposed amendment to the charter of this association be submitted to the membership for consideration at the next meeting of members, which would be this summer. Would anyone like to make that motion? Mr. LaFontaine makes the motion. Do we have a second? Dr. Nutting seconds.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. If you agree, please raise your right hand. Okay, so that passed unanimously. Now we move on to number 2023-09. It's a motion to approve the following resolution, which amends the bylaws regarding the requirement that March and October open board meetings be held on Fridays to be placed on the June 2023 member meeting agenda for membership approval. The resolution of the Board of Directors of the Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association. Whereas this association was formed by charter, which was adopted and filed with the Secretary of State of Mississippi on June 8, 1970. Whereas this association adopted and filed certain bylaws to govern the actions of the association, last amended on April 2016. Whereas the bylaws must include the following, whereas the bylaws include the following requirement in section 5.5. The board shall hold an open meeting on the third Friday of each March and October. Whereas this association has in practice conducted all monthly board meetings as open to the membership, with members permitted to attend in person or via live stream video since August of 2020. Whereas section 8.1 provides a method by which these bylaws may be amended in order to comport with current operational standards. Therefore, it is resolved that this board hereby recommends that the bylaws of this corporation be amended to remove the unnecessary requirement of open meetings on the third Friday of each March and October, and replace it with a requirement that all regularly scheduled monthly board meetings be open to the membership. Finally, it is resolved that this proposed amendment to the bylaws of the association be submitted to the membership for consideration at the next meeting of the members. Okay, now note, this one is with the bylaws. The first one was with the charter. Okay, this is with the bylaws. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. James makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Blackwood seconds it. Any comments, Mr. James?
I think in today's world, now that there is a standard for open meetings and all open meetings, and social media has access, I don't think there is any need whatsoever in these Friday open meetings.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment or a question? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, that was unanimous, so that passes. Motion 2023-10, a motion to approve the following resolution, which provides for absentee voting in membership actions to be placed on the June 2023 member meeting agenda for membership approval. It's a resolution of the Board of Directors of Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association. Whereas this association was formed by charter, which was adopted and filed with the Secretary of State for the state of Mississippi on June 8, 1970. Whereas this association adopted and filed certain bylaws to govern the actions of the association, was last amended in 2016. Whereas the bylaws include the following requirement in section 3.7. Except as herein or in the certificate of incorporation otherwise provided, all corporate action shall be determined by a vote cast by a majority of the membership present in person or by proxy at a meeting at which a quorum is present. Whereas the requirement of presence in person or by proxy has become overly burdensome to many members of the association. Whereas a successful practice of absentee ballot processing has been established for the election of POA officers and directors. Whereas section 8.1 provides a method by which these bylaws may be amended in order to comport with current operational standards. Therefore, it is resolved that this board hereby recommends that the bylaws of this corporation be amended to remove the requirement of presence in person and or by proxy for all corporate action to be determined by the vote of membership. Resolved that this board hereby recommends that section 3.7 of the bylaws of this corporation be amended to state, absentee voting shall be permitted in all voting of the membership in corporate actions and/or elections of POA officers and directors. Finally, it is resolved that this proposed amendment to the bylaws of this association be submitted to the membership for consideration at the next meeting of the members. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Becker makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Nutting seconds. Any discussions, Mr. Becker? Any other persons? All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, that was a unanimous vote, so that's approved. The fourth, 2023-11, is a motion to approve the following resolution, which transfers drainage property to the city of Diamond Head to be placed on the June 2023 member meeting agenda for membership approval. Resolution of the Board of Directors of Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association, Inc. Whereas this association was formed by charter, which was adopted and filed with the Secretary of State for the state of Mississippi on June 8, 1970. Whereas this association owns and maintains properties throughout Diamond Head, Mississippi. Whereas the city of Diamond Head, Mississippi has expressed a desire to take over ownership and responsibility for certain parcels for the purpose of improving drainage for the residents of the city of Diamond Head. Whereas this board agrees that those certain parcels would better serve the members of the association as drainage properties owned and maintained by the city of Diamond Head. Whereas Section 3.7 of this association's bylaws provides a method by which all corporate action shall be determined. Therefore, it is resolved that this board hereby recommends that ownership of the following parcels be conveyed to the city of Diamond Head for the purpose of improving drainage. It's parcel number 068R-2-41-132.000. This is the one on Mahalo Hui Drive. Parcel number 132A-2-03-026.008. This is commonly called the Duck Pond on Gex Drive. Parcel number 132A-1-03-113-001. This is the retention pond on Calipacona Way, which is sometimes known as Hidden Lake. Finally, it is resolved that this proposed conveyance of property of this association to the city of Diamond Head be submitted to the membership for consideration at the next meeting of the members, which of course would be in June of this year. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Blackwood makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. James seconds. Any discussion, Mr. Blackwood?
No discussion.
Anyone else? Mr. Becker?
I'd just like to note that the property on Jex Drive that's referred to as the Duck Pond, when the city was given the streets and the responsibility for drainage, they were given access to that pond to take on any action that needed to be to undertake drainage work. So all we're doing now is giving them the responsibility for the property.
Any further comments? Okay, where are we? Okay, everyone in favor of this proposal, please raise your right hand. Okay, that is unanimous also, so that is approved. Now we get to a motion to approve the funds to purchase plateware for the Oak Room not to exceed $8,000. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Tozan makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Mr. LaFontaine seconds it. Mr. Tozan?
Yes, Mr. Rhymes submitted a bid for, 3 bids for the purchase of the plateware. The existing plateware is depleted. We'll use what we have now in latitude 30, and we will restock the Oak Room's plateware at a cost of $8,000, not to exceed $8,500.
Any other comments or questions about that one? Hearing none, everyone in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand. Again, that was unanimous, so that motion passes. And finally, we get to motion 2023-13. This is just a motion to improve the purchase and installation of security cameras and related required equipment at the community center, which would be 4 cameras and 1 monitor, the marina, 4 cameras and 1 monitor, the RV storage area, 4 cameras, 2 monitors, and some required equipment to ensure wireless coverage, and tennis, 1 camera and required equipment to ensure wireless coverage from Security Solutions LLC at a cost of $9,951. Someone like to make that motion, Mr.
I will
LaFontaine?
make that motion.
I will second.
And Mr. James seconds it. Mr. LaFontaine, any comments?
This is an additional for security reasons. We have additional areas that we need to have coverage in due to past vandalism. It's needed.
Okay, we do have security cameras at other locations. Should we put signs up at all these different locations where we have cameras saying you're on TV or something like that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we need to look into that, especially at the RV area, from what we know of that one. Okay?
We'll take that on as a part of the safety committee.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about that? All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, that is unanimous, so that one passes also. Where am I at? We're now. Oh, yeah, do we have any comment on non-agenda items?
We do not.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting this evening.
We have a motion. Yeah,
I'll
we